Hey, what's happening, everybody? I'm Blair Johnson. This is the Badass Records podcast, and this would be the TLDR version of a promo for the show. I usually try to keep it simple, short, and sweet here, as I know you want to get to the thing. But this is a longer, more fleshed out version because I've seldom talked about what this program is about, and it's about having in-person one-on-one conversations with folks about themselves and what they're into and some of their favorite music across their journey. So it's something to be one person in charge of all of the elements that make this happen, the scheduling and the recording and the editing and the posting and the distribution and promoting and whatever. It leaves a ton of space for errors, and I have made plenty across 120 plus episodes, and today's was no exception to that. With Maura Dayton, who was a lovely guest and a fantastic human being to sit down with. I forgot to hit record on the cameras, which was not the first time that I've done that. I did that to my homegirl, Meg Cuman. Shouts out to Meg, also a fantastic professor and instructor and photographer out of Lawrence, Kansas. So I did it again with another fantastic Lawrence photographer. Forgot to hit record on the cameras, thought about it, caught it. So video starts late, but I also bumped something that disrupted the audio recording, so that I had to piece that together. And Maura was an absolutely lovely guest, and a very sweet human being in understanding that errors and mistakes happen. So shouts out to Maura. If you are interested in supporting the show, there's the obvious subscribe where you stream and download your podcasts or on YouTube. Follow on the socials, Instagram and Twitter. There's also a merch tab on the website, badassrecordspodcast.com. T-shirts, hoodies, ball caps, stocking caps, stickers, coffee mugs, long sleeve tees, et cetera, et cetera. If you were so inclined to grab an item from that store for yourself, a little bit of support goes a long way for an endeavor like this. Already mentioned where you can follow the podcast in terms of social media. New episodes are out Thursday mornings, usually, if I don't make another mistake. And yeah, that's it. Appreciate you being here. That's all I got for you today. Sorry it's a little more long-winded than normal. Hope you enjoy the show. I think that we are looking at episode number 121.
Okay.
Badass Records podcast, hanging out with Maura Dayton. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Appreciate you coming in from LFK. I love that town.
Yeah.
I've had, it's been a little while ago now, but a couple fellas from a band, they are just outside of Manhattan.
Okay.
But they gig in Manhattan a lot and in around the area. And one of them posted, or maybe I saw it before they came, MHK. And I was like,
oh, yeah.
Manhattan's one word.
Yeah.
So, which is a nerdy pet peeve of mine, like when folks say, or I guess type, hashtag RCJH.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, Jayhawk's one word. It's RCJ. Sorry. Nevertheless, appreciate you being here. Like I said, I'm not sure if it's pitch stuff or Remind me again of the call letters of the Lawrence radio station.
Yeah, 90.7 KJHK.
90.7 KJHK.
Yes.
And what do you do for them?
So I DJ, but I also do multimedia stuff, which every Thursday we have a band come in to do like a 30-minute live session. And so I do
Cool.
video for that.
Okay.
So they'll come in and perform live on air, but then we'll record a video and edit it and put it up on our YouTube channel.
You're like creating your own little tiny desk concert
Yeah,
situations
kinda.
weekly.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so how long have you been doing that?
Just this school year, so since August.
Okay. And do they have admirable gear, I would imagine?
Yeah, we have a pretty good setup in the studio.
Cool.
Which that studio, it didn't used to be there, but I think it got built in like 2012.
Okay.
So yeah, we have a pretty good setup in
Nice.
there with all the audio equipment and everything.
Cool. So a lot of this is, relatively speaking, still new to me in terms of gear and video and all these sorts of things. So I just pluck SD cards out
Yeah.
of these little Panasonic guys.
Yeah.
And then stick them into the port, and then I can move them, and then audio I'm doing in Reaper, and then I will render that to a wave,
Okay.
and then I take all the things and I put them into DaVinci Resolve.
Okay.
If you're not familiar,
I'm not familiar.
Okay.
I just do video. I don't
Yeah,
know anything about audio. Yeah.
but I mean, but that's to get all of the audio and then the two separate videos in a thing together.
Yeah.
So that I can. So what does your process look like? What kind of gear or programs are you using?
As far as editing the video goes, I use Adobe Premiere Pro.
That sounds snazzy.
Yeah, like I mean, well, since I'm a design student at KU, we get all the Adobe stuff for free, and that just started this year. I used to have to pay for it, but I use Premiere Pro.
You used to have to pay for the software for the job you're doing for the radio station?
Yeah, and for school as well. It used to be like $150 a year, I think. Which
For software.
Yeah, just for software.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's everything's expensive in the kind of fields I work in, but yeah, so Premiere Pro for editing, and then we have cameras in the studio. They're all Canon cameras.
Are they like hardwired into something? You don't have to take stuff from them?
No, just we have SD cards that we use,
okay,
yeah.
yeah.
So and then I don't know the exact like models of the Canon cameras we use, but they're like DSLR cameras. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Okay. So was that a fresh, a raw learning experience for you to figure out how to do the video editing, or did you come to this program already knowing it, or?
At the time when I first started doing video for KJHK, I was taking a moving image class, so it was a video class. So I was learning how to use like Premiere Pro and stuff like that while doing the live sessions, but it's pretty straightforward. A lot of it is just, a lot of cutting video and just,
Okay.
stitching everything together.
Cool. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
It's all good.
But I've never had somebody, to my knowledge, sit in the chair that I could chat with stuff like that about. But so there's the Lawrence radio station, and then photography.
Yes.
Twisted Maura.
Yeah, Twisted Maura photos.
On Instagram.
Yes, on Instagram.
So one of those two channels was how I came across your path, and then we've been messaging via Instagram. And so Twisted Maura photos on Instagram, and you are snazzy enough that you have a link tree.
Yeah.
Little old and behind the times. But I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think that will take us to Twisted MJD on Instagram and Twitter.
Not on Instagram anymore.
Oh, okay.
That's
Okay.
my old Instagram that
Okay.
I don't use.
Okay.
But Twitter, yeah, Twitter is Twisted MJD.
Twisted MJD, and then Twisted More Photos we already covered, but also a link to all of your pitch stuff.
Yes.
Super handy. Just bam, all of it
Yeah.
right there. The only piece that threw me a little bit was Bauhaus stills. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't think that I know what I'm doing in this part of it. So
No,
I just
it's all right. I will be more than happy to explain that. The Bauhaus stills is my current project that I'm working on. It's my current long-term project. Basically, the elevator pitch of it. My friends in Lawrence, they run a DIY venue out of the house they live in they call it Bauhaus.
okay.
And what I do is I go and I take a like small point and shoot film camera and I will pass it to random people throughout the night, just let them photograph whatever they want. And then I take all the film at the end of the night, get it developed, and I scan it. And I compile it into a zine that I sell at the next show, but I also make Google Drive folders and link them in my bio so that people can go and look at them.
I'm sorry, you sell it at the what show?
At the next Bauhaus show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how often is this happening?
They have shows about once a month.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere around there. They just get a lineup together and have shows in their basement.
Cool.
It's a lot of fun.
Folks are that are familiar with this scene, if you will,
Yeah.
have also to be familiar on some level with the fact that this is a thing that's happening. Like
Yeah.
things and folks are being recorded across X number of minutes or hours in an evening. Do you run into situations where folks are like, no, or has anybody hit you up after the fact and been like, don't use that? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I haven't had that happen.
Okay.
And I think the thing is I've been photographing DIY shows for over a year now. And so I am pretty connected within that
Cool.
scene and know a lot of people. And so, and I post about it all the time on my Instagram. And so, thankfully, I think people are really down with it and really think it's cool, you know?
Heck
So,
yeah. Nice.
I haven't had any complaints so far, but, you know, definitely if any issues came up, then, you know, I would, you know, deal with
Yeah,
it
of
properly, you
course.
know, and everything like that.
Yeah, cool. So you've been in Lawrence for how long now?
Since August of 2021.
Okay.
Because that's when I started school.
Sure.
So,
So you're on the other side of the halfway point towards a BA. Is that what the goal is? Or
yeah, so I'm getting it's a BFA in design with concentration in photography and also a art history minor.
Dang.
So it's a mouthful.
Yeah. Okay. So you've got a full load plus some extracurriculars.
Yeah.
Busy person.
Yes.
But being busy is sometimes a good thing, right?
Yeah, you know, I'm constantly out doing stuff, you know, and working
Yeah.
as well. But yeah, I just enjoy being in Lawrence, and it's been really fun, you know, learning about photography because I've been doing photography since I was 16, and it's what I want to do, like career-wise, and so.
Cool. I'm sorry, I overlooked, last but not least, DIY Archiver, and then catfight_LFK.
Yeah, so I just recently joined the band Catfight as a guitarist, and I do backup vocals as well. But Catfight, we're a all-femme punk band. We're currently the only all-femme band in Lawrence right now.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Really?
Like other bands have like a femme front person or some femme members, but we're the only all femme
Have
band.
you heard of an outfit called Awful Housewives or Midwives or
No,
No?
not familiar.
I'm pretty sure they're all femme, but I thought that Lawrence was their home. Maybe I'm mistaken there, but they're like bluegrassy,
Okay.
a lot of strings. I'll have to look it up and see where they're from. But the only all femme band in all of Lawrence.
That I know of,
Right,
I should
right.
say.
Sure. That's pretty crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
Anyway, so you just recently joined them. How long have they been together?
They've been together over a year now, but
Okay.
I work with our lead singer, Allie. We've been working together for like over 2 years. Before Catfight was a band, and so when Catfight became a band, I started photographing them like all the time.
Cool.
I
Cool.
photographed them like pretty much during their entire first year of being a band. And so then their previous guitarist left the band, and so Allie asked me if I would join in and be their new guitarist. So
Okay. Cool.
it's been a lot of fun.
So a full load plus video editing for the radio station, and DIY archiver, and why the heck not? Let's join a band.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, I guess you don't need any hobbies because maybe you're already doing them, but I don't think
Yeah.
you have time for any new ones, at least.
No, like, I mean, my life has always just been music
Cool.
and art.
Very
So,
cool.
doing photography and doing concert photography specifically, it's like I'm just going to shows all the time, and then also being in Catfight, just performing, being on the other side of that has been a lot of fun because I've been playing guitar for like over 10 years.
Okay.
But I just have never been in a band before, so
Sure. First time.
yeah.
Okay. Now, have you guys had gigs since you joined?
Yeah.
Okay. And then also, I'm imagining there's rehearsal or practice or brainstorming sessions or whatever.
Yeah.
Other things you got to make time for.
Yeah, definitely. And I can say now we did just record our first single.
Cool.
So we've been in the studio for, last week we were in the studio for a couple days recording what'll be our first single that will hopefully come out sometime soon. We still need to figure that out. But
And the studio is...
So we were asked by one of the jazz study professors at KU, Brandon Draper, to record a song for one of his music production classes that he's teaching. And so Summerfield Hall is like the film and media studies building, and they have a recording studio there. And yeah, so it was Brandon Draper just kind of as the head of the operation, but there was a class of students in there who were really kind of helping us record and getting everything set up in the studio. So it was kind of pretty much like student-led kind of recording session. And his goal is that he wants to start a student-run record label at KU. So
That is rad.
kind of using us as like
Guinea
the
pigs?
guinea pigs of
Nice.
sorts to show that, it's possible to do. But
How long has this facility been around, this studio?
I have no idea. Like, I didn't know that it existed until...
Because immediately where my mind goes is there's got to be bands around town that can't afford studio time and are trying to get an in to do
Yeah.
that. And then how cool if you're just asked to do it, right?
Yeah, and then the Lawrence Public Library, I know, has a recording studio there, too, that's free to use.
What?
Yeah, but you
Lawrence
have...
is so awesome.
Yeah, you have to get on, like, a waiting list of sorts to, reserve a time. But, yeah, it's awesome, some of the resources that Lawrence has for musicians.
Cool. So you're not born and raised in Lawrence, though, right?
I was raised in Lenexa.
Lenexa, okay.
So, close by
Yeah.
of sorts.
And siblings?
I have a younger brother.
Okay.
We're exactly 2.5 years apart.
Okay.
And I'm the oldest one, obviously.
Okay, yeah. And so my next youngest sister is, somewhere in between, I guess 2 3/4.
Yeah.
Which wound up meaning that we were in the same building for my senior and her freshman year. Did the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
Okay, and then is he going to go to school?
Yeah, so he's a senior in high school now, so he's wrapping up his senior year. He's going to go to Drury in Springfield, Missouri.
Okay.
I don't know what he's going to study, but he's going for soccer because he
Oh, wow.
plays soccer.
Okay.
So
Came from the soccer field directly to do this.
yeah.
Right on. So you won't be needing to share Lawrence with your younger sibling.
No.
Gotcha.
It's like, I mean, we're obviously like, we're very different. He's very much more like athletic sports,
Sure.
stuff like that. And I'm more, artsy, music,
Right.
everything like that. So I just feel like, the two places we're going to end up kind of suit us really well
Absolutely.
in our personalities.
And any idea how mom and dad met?
So my parents grew up in the same neighborhood. They both grew up in Overland Park.
Okay.
And they went to school together. They both went to high school together, but they didn't start dating until they both went to college. Both of my parents went to KU.
Okay.
My dad worked at various different venues and everything like that in Lawrence and did like
in the music industry.
Yeah,
Oh.
he did like security and was a bartender, and he did play in bands as well. He was in this 80s cover band called Star 80.
Okay.
And he played keys, but my parents met through that.
Sure.
And then started dating, and then they actually got married during my dad's spring break 99 is
Oh, wow.
what they say. So
Funny.
yeah.
Okay. Now, that leads me to believe that dad or mom or both listen to music in the home when you all were younger.
Yeah.
What kind of stuff were they into?
Well, since they were in Lawrence in the 90s when grunge was big, we definitely listened to a lot of that. So Deftones, Nine Inch Nails, which we'll obviously talk about later. Alice in Chains, Nirvana.
Sure. Mom and dad both.
The Pixies, yeah.
Okay.
Jane's Addiction, The Cure, like those are just the ones that come to the top of my mind.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
yeah, I never had control over the radio when I was younger. My parents always overrided that.
Okay,
So,
interesting.
yeah.
So, as a real little person, just whatever is on the radio in the car for my mom, which was the oldie station.
Yeah.
And then we somehow became a Fox, one on the Fox family.
Yeah.
This old stereo system in the family room was really it. And then at some point, like 8th grade-ish or 7th, I got like my first, little boombox radio with a cassette, and then eventually upgraded to a slightly, but it was the beginning of a secondary place to listen to music in the home, and oftentimes, close the door and blast stuff. But point being, that's sort of where we had a few records, but they seldom were spun. But that's where my collection began.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious if there's, beyond what was already in the house, is there one that not necessarily was on your list, but was like a first album love or a first album purchase or something that started your collection?
For me, I think one of the first CDs I was gifted for one of my birthdays was Torches by Foster the People.
Okay.
So, Pumped Up Kicks.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I still to this day thoroughly enjoy that whole album, and I feel like I feel like it gets overlooked because people view Foster the People as like a one-hit wonder band with just Pumped Up Kicks, but because Pumped Up Kicks is on that album, but that whole album is amazing, and I feel like is really kind of a defining album of like 2010s like alternative music.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of the first CDs I was gifted.
It's funny when albums and their release time, pins somebody's age to them, depending on what they were. So like that was was working chefing at a restaurant in Lee Summit, and my firstborn, whose soccer game we were at, was pretty brand new. And all of my line cooks and dishwashers and prep cooks were real young, like 18, 19. And have you ever spent any time working in kitchens at all?
No.
So the term sixth pan doesn't mean anything to you? Okay,
No, it
well,
doesn't.
there's like if you go to a buffet and
Okay.
they've the full size thing of whatever's in there, like prime rib or whatever, but there's it's in another one of those pans with water in it, and then the sterno flame to. So a full one is a hotel pan, and if you have two different things in the water bath, they're half pans, and then there's third pan all the way. So point being, we would, before we got a decent stereo system to listen to music on in the kitchen, it was put your cell phone in a stainless steel sixth pan and play music off your phone, and it would kind of but that one of my primary guy, Josh Hecht, shouts out to Josh, played that record, and there's another artist, something the Bear, minus the Bear and Foster the People, and that anyway. It is a great album. I was very surprised because I kind of knew that tune when he first played the whole record, but then I was like, "Oh, this is good stuff."
Yeah.
That's cool. What about first or early or memorable live music experiences for you?
Yeah. So the first concert I ever went to, I was 7 years old, and my parents, my parents took me to see the Pixies at Uptown Theater.
Nice.
And it was for the 20th anniversary of Doolittle, so they played that album in full.
Cool. Are they coming soon, or were they just here?
I believe they're coming in June to Starlight.
Are you going?
I need to acquire some tickets.
Not yet?
Yeah. So
tentative.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was the first concert I ever went to, and
that's super rad. First show, a Pixies show.
Yeah, my dad had this rule that he had to pick what my first concert was, and he did the same with my younger brother, because his reasoning is that you can't change what your first concert was, so it has to be something good. And so
Your dad sounds all right.
Yeah, and so he was like, we'll take you to go see the Pixies. And it wasn't like I didn't like the Pixies. Like, I loved listening to the Pixies with my parents. And so, I don't remember a whole lot from it, but what I do remember was I fell asleep during the show, obviously. I was seven. But during the encore of that show, they played Bone Machine, which at the time, and it still is one of my favorite Pixies songs. And so my mom woke me up and was like, Maura, they're playing Bone Machine, like, get up.
That's awesome.
And so then I got up, watched them play Bone Machine, and then I went like right back to sleep.
Yeah. Now I'm embarrassed because I can't say whether or not I know if they're doing a Tom Waits cover or if that's an original tune by them. I know all I can say for sure is Tom Waits had an album called Bone Machine. Yeah. But sorry. So you wake you up for that, back to sleep.
Yeah. And then one thing they did for that tour that I thought was really cool was at every show on that tour, they recorded the concert. And I still don't completely understand how this happened, but they would record the whole set and somehow burn it onto like a bunch of CDs afterwards, and then they sold them like 20 minutes after the show ended.
What?
Yeah, or something like that.
Doesn't seem like technology would be that fast that long ago.
Yeah, I know, but I still have that CD with me.
Can you hear yourself snoring?
No, we were all the way up in like the balcony, but so it's cool that I have like a CD with a recording of the first concert I ever went to. So.
Very nice. So at what point does your musicianship begin? What's your first instrument? Do you stick with it and move on to something? Eventually you land at 10 years worth of guitar, but take me across that if you would.
Yeah. So my dad plays guitar. So obviously growing up, my dad, he's like a big like gearhead and everything like that, when it comes to guitar. But I grew up, listening to him play guitar like all throughout my childhood. But I actually started on piano.
Okay.
Because my next door neighbor, Phyllis, is a piano teacher, and
Shouts out to Phyllis.
Yeah, shout out to Phyllis. And so I took piano lessons for like 12 years.
Okay.
And played
Chops.
played piano for 12 years. Not so much anymore. I'm
But
really
some of
rusty.
it stuck.
Yeah.
Right. You could
So
tinker.
Yeah, exactly. So I started off with piano, and then somewhere in there, I started messing with the guitar because, obviously my dad has extra guitars laying around. And so, yeah. And I asked him to teach me, and he did reluctantly because he doesn't think he's a very good teacher because he tried to teach my mom how to play bass, and basically it didn't end very well.
I mean, is he a bass player too?
He has played bass
get by
before, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, basically my dad tried to teach my mom bass, and it just ended with my dad being frustrated. And
Is she musically inclined at all?
No, she's
okay,
not.
well, he should give himself a little bit of a break then. It sounds
I know,
like.
but my mom, it's funny because she, she wanted to just pick up the bass and just immediately, I don't know, by some like magical music power, just already know like how to play the bass. But so my dad like taught me like the basic like chords and whatever, but I grew up with the time of the internet, and so pretty much if you just had enough time and just watched enough YouTube videos, pretty much you could just learn how to play anything. I'm primarily self-taught. Cool. And also Ultimate Guitar Tabs was a big guitar teacher for me as far as that goes. But then I also mess around with bass a little bit, not so much.
I cut you off. Sorry.
No, it's all good.
Pretty much self-taught.
Yeah, so I'm pretty much a self-taught guitar player. But yeah, and then I also tinker around with bass a little bit here and there. I played ukulele for a good point.
Cool. Did you keep it around? Did you have your own?
Yeah, I still have my ukulele. I don't really pull it out that much anymore, but every once in a while just to mess around. But, with all the things I do now, it's like, I just kind of focus on guitar since I'm, in a band playing guitar. Yeah. So now all of my musical energy goes towards guitar.
Well, fun. So 12 years of piano parlays into 10 years of guitar, and today you've been a part of a cat fight for how long did you say?
Since January.
January.
So
okay.
Only a few months.
Still fresh.
Yeah.
Fresh. Do you have some merch?
Not right now.
No.
We're working on
it. Okay.
So that'll be happening soon.
So, and this will be the first for this band to have merch.
No.
Oh, okay.
They had merch before, but their last guitarist was the one who usually did that. So when they left the band, we didn't have merch anymore.
Okay.
So
all right. Well, when the next batch comes out, you'll be current with and fresh with everybody else.
We're just kind of rebranding right now. So, cool. I did just make our new logo and everything like that. So, and we're
the design student got the logo task.
Yeah. Well, we all kind of do design in our own way. Me and Allie mostly do a lot of that stuff. So, Allie's been coming up with some merch designs, and I did the new logo and everything. And so, we're still trying to flesh that out and finalize some merch designs so we can finally start getting those printed.
Cool. Now, like, but so this is going to happen. This is a thing that you guys are being mindful about. You want to have merch.
Yeah.
And so then, does that mean that you make T-shirt X and then you are keeping, you know, 10 smalls and 15 mediums and full inventory physically stored somewhere that comes in and out of the car and is available at shows and this kind of stuff?
Yeah.
As opposed to like,
Online.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably how we'll do it, and that's how a lot of bands, I feel, in Lawrence does it as well.
so it's a thing that somebody physically is managing
Yeah.
and replenishing as it sells and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and for our merch designs, we were gonna do it all ourselves and print it ourselves, like totally like DIY. So
Cool.
yeah, we'll have all that soon.
Right on. Right on. So are there any gigs booked currently or?
Our next gig is May 4th.
May 4th,
at
okay.
the Replay Lounge,
Cool.
10 p.m.
Fun venue, right?
Yes,
Okay.
we do play there a lot.
I'm trying to, it's been a minute, like high school, since
Yeah.
I was in there, I believe.
Yeah.
I get up to Lawrence every once in a while for a show, but I don't think I've been in that one. But I seem to recall it being a good spot.
Yeah, it's where a lot of local bands play
Okay.
because pretty much they only book like local music or they also get some touring bands as well, but
Sure.
it's primarily local music there.
Okay.
But yeah, we're playing there May 4th with Frog Pond and the Sluts.
Nice.
So
Nice.
I'm very excited about that because Frog Pond is a band that my mom got me into and was like,
there's something familiar about that name. I don't know why. But
they're a band based in Lawrence now, but they were around in the 90s.
Okay.
They had their album Count to 10. That was a pretty popular album back
same folks, same lineup.
I think their lineup has changed now,
Okay.
but they were on a break for a really long time, like on a hiatus of sorts, but they just recently released a new album like a year or two ago. But yeah, so we're playing a gig with them, and so it'll be really exciting to play that show with them. Another all-femme band.
Nice.
So there we go.
So Catfight, and the IG for that is catfight_LFK.
Yes.
Has just recorded a single.
Yeah, our first single.
First single. There's a merch line in the works of
Yes.
sorts. There's a May 4th gig. Anything further out than that one?
I believe after that is May 11th.
May 11th.
We're
Okay.
playing another gig at Replay.
Okay.
So.
whose responsibility is the handling of the gigs? Like booking them or whatever.
We all kind of do it.
Okay.
We get a lot of requests to play shows like through our Instagram DMs, and we all have access to that account.
Okay.
So it's just one of those things where we just kind of go into our like Catfight group chat and are like, are we all available to play this gig that we were asked to do? And then whoever's like on the Instagram account at that time will respond and be like, yeah, we can do it, or no, we can't. But it is hard, because we are all college students and
Full
so
plates.
yeah, full
Yeah.
plates, and so getting gigs together and schedules lined up, can sometimes be, difficult. But we play whenever we can because we do love playing live.
Yeah.
So
Very cool. So if I don't think that this won't be out in time for either of those, but if you've got a freshly recorded single and 2 gigs on the books, does that mean that there's potentially an album and potentially more gigs or road action of sorts?
So album, yes, we do plan on recording our album this summer.
Fun.
And we want to do it with our friend Jack Goodrich. He's in a couple of bands in Lawrence, but most notably the Jackoffs and Jurassic Plastic are his 2 big projects that he's in. But yeah, we're gonna record over the summer because that's obviously when we have the most time to record. School's not in session,
Yeah.
so
Will you still have access to the facility for that or no?
We don't know where we're gonna record the
Okay.
album. We don't know if we're gonna do an actual studio or like a home studio
Sure.
type situation. We still gotta figure that out, but we do plan on recording over the summer and hopefully having an album put together.
Awesome. And have there been any sort of preliminary talks as to what album artwork might look like, or?
Yeah, I know Allie was talking to some people about album artwork, so I guess we'll just see
Sure.
what happens with
And
that.
then will this be just a digital thing, or will there be any physical copies, do you imagine?
I know Allie mentioned something about tapes,
Okay,
doing
cool.
tapes. So I'm sure we'll have both a physical version of it and obviously
And
streaming.
if you have tapes, just parts a new piece of the merch line.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
got-
Yeah.
So very fun, very cool. Um, well, I really appreciate you being here and sharing your list with me. I usually just roll through them in chronological release order, which starts us with the Pixies. Doolittle.
Yes.
I think mentioning the previous gaffes, I think, was a curse, if you will. But nevertheless, second time being on somebody's list, second of 8 records for them, 15 tracks, 38 minutes. One that your folks put on
Yes.
that you loved from Jump Street or early on,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
How familiar are you with some of their other stuff?
Yeah, I mostly listen to Surfer Rosa and Doolittle.
Okay.
You know, kind of the two classics. But you know, I'm familiar with pretty much like what you would consider like their essentials
Sure.
or greatest hits. But this album for me is like one of my top like no skip albums. Like I will sit and listen to the entire thing, which other records, you know, I'm like, okay, like
In and
I'll
out.
skip,
Yeah.
in and out, skip these songs, you know. But this one, it's like, you know, I'm in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
I will listen to the entire thing.
I was whenever I was prepping for Meg's, fairly certain that it had possibly been since high school, since I had listened to it, and so putting it back on was kind of like, oh, there's I immediately I'm like, oh, I know, 2, 3, 4 of these, but then it's like, oh, the whole thing's familiar, and the whole thing is really good.
Yeah.
Has aged very well, and was a fun sort of, not grungy, not hardcore. It was just kind of its own thing, or is
Yeah.
its own thing, really.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I guess I kind of view it as like a precursor to all of that.
Yeah.
Because, you know, obviously, famously, like Kurt Cobain
Yep.
loved the Pixies and was very inspired by them. So, you know, I view that, like, I mean, I do view the Pixies as kind of like their own thing, but it is, to me, kind of like that pre-grunge
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
sound, you know, alt rock kind of feel. But, yeah.
Kim Deal.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Can do.
That was another thing that I forgot that I hadn't known, or possibly didn't ever connect those dots. But she's great.
Yeah.
That's who I was thinking of when your mom's asking your dad to teach. She just
Well,
wants to be
yeah.
Kim Deal, like
Yeah,
at the blink of an eye.
basically, yeah. Either Kim Deal or Nikki from the Silver Sun Pickups.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's another band we listen to a lot.
I feel like I've seen that they're also.
Yeah. End of April, end of this month. So at Midland.
Okay.
So we're definitely going to that
Okay.
show. Yeah.
Okay. Now I only know. I mean, what's their biggest hit?
Lazy Eye.
Yes.
Yeah.
With the video
Yeah.
where the two people are like, maybe they're trying to connect at a live show,
Yeah.
and then one misinterprets something, and then the other, right? This is that video. Are you familiar with it?
Vaguely.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I love music videos, but I guess I'm more just kind of listen to the music.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, that one, I don't, possibly shot in black and white, and very, very story-esque.
Yeah.
And young people and a live music fan. There's just a lot to like about it.
Yeah.
And also, the drummer,
Yeah.
you know, so sometimes when artists record music videos, the vocals are they're lip syncing.
Yeah.
So does that mean that doesn't mean that the musicians are pretending? They're actually playing the song, we would think, right?
Yeah, they might be actually playing, but yeah, the vocalist is probably lip syncing. Like I know when you record a music video, they play the track like while they're recording it, so make sure everyone's on time.
Right.
But,
Well, the point being, the drummer is the movements of the drummer are very they appear exaggerated. But this drummer also has like legitimate chops. They're very good at what they do. But it's like, hey, save some energy. You got a whole set in front of you now.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's fun. That's so. Is that whole record that Lazy Eye is on? Is it good?
I'm not that familiar with it. That's another one where some bands it's like I listen to certain songs, other bands I listen to entire albums. Silvers and Pickups I more listen to songs, but the other songs that I like off of that album, which I believe is called Canvas.
Okay.
There's some other really good songs on that album
Right
as
on.
well.
Right on. So Pixies are coming. Don't have tickets yet. Silver Sun, you're for sure going.
Yes.
Any other shows on the horizon that you're thinking about or for sure taking in?
Oh, I'm really excited to go see A Perfect Circle,
Oh, yeah.
Pussifer, and oh my god, who else is playing that show? Oh, Primus.
Right.
Yeah.
All three of Les's outfits, correct?
It's so Perfect Circle and Pussifer are Maynard James Keenan.
That's what I meant. That's
Yeah.
what I meant. Maynard, not Les.
and then Primus.
Well, okay. So Perfect Circle and Pussifer are Maynard.
Yes.
And then he has Tool, obviously.
Yes.
And then Les has Primus, Frog Brigade.
Yes.
Does he have a third also?
Not that I know of. Those are the two I know of.
When's that happening?
I believe it's April 30th.
Okay.
At Azura Amphitheater.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm excited for that because it's like for Maynard's like 60th birthday.
Wow.
And my parents went to the show that was his 50th birthday, and they went all the way to LA for the show because this was just a one
You
show
get on a plane for that?
deal. Yeah.
Nice.
But basically what's going to happen is like all three bands are going to perform. So it's like one band goes and plays a couple songs, then they rotate the stage, and then the next band goes, plays a couple songs, and they switch. They just keep switching throughout the night. And so I'm excited to see that because even though when my parents went to his 50th birthday one, like I was pretty young, I was looking back, I was like, man, you should have taken me, which is the case for a lot of shows that my parents traveled for. Yeah.
I bet. Is your brother into music?
You know, he's into music, but he just listens to music. He's not so much into like going to concerts.
Interesting. Okay. So you're more on the same wavelength as mom and dad than he is in that regard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I mean, he's gone to shows before, obviously, but it's not at the same,
Sure.
frequency that me and my parents go to shows.
So from 89 to 94, another one that has already come up.
Yes.
Downward Spiral.
Yes.
3rd of 14 for them, 14 tracks, 65 minutes. Cleveland. I feel like Cleveland never gets enough love, although there has been some women's Final Four basketball been played there all week, so that's cool. Now, Nine Inch Nails. I've never sat down and intentionally listened to Nine Inch Nails. There's
Okay.
plenty of them in sprinkles that I've had, but when I saw your list, I was like, I wonder if this is, and it did turn out to be, the album that has hurt, because supposedly when Trent was asked if he, do you know the story, if he had heard or liked Johnny Cash's version, the comment was made, that's Johnny's song. It's so good that that's Johnny's song now.
Yeah.
So that, and then when Trent turned the album into the record label, sorry,
Yeah.
I had to do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I saw your list, like, oh, I wonder if either of those stories will be on, and it's both.
Yeah.
So what's your introduction story? Is this is folks also, Nine Inch
Yeah.
Nails?
So I have distinct memories of listening to Closer in the car.
That's
which
womp, right?
yeah, which is totally a song you should not play for your
This
young
some
child.
sexual pieces to that,
Yeah,
whole, right?
yeah. And so but for me, like, I never knew what the lyrics were. I was more concerned or focused on, like, the instrumental
Yeah.
parts of it. So, the whoomp whoomp whoomp,
Yeah.
like the synthy parts, and the beat of it, and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely from my folks. And then there was a point where in high school, I kind of went away from the music I grew up listening to and started listening to kind of my own, I don't know, like music that I discovered on my own.
Yeah.
So I went through kind of like an emo phase and was listening to, like, My Chemical Romance and 21 Pilots and Panic at the Disco, that type of stuff. But then I came back to this album when I was in high school because I was like, oh yeah, Nine Inch Nails, like my parents played it, and I just went through like a deep dive of it, and I just really love like the narrative, like storytelling part of it, and kind of how it's abstract and like it can, like, you can relate to it. It's not so much like the story of like, oh, this is the character and whatever, but it's very abstract. And so
Sure. Very nice. Now, I know I saw it and I meant to write it down, but I didn't. Closer has been in stuff,
yeah.
like a show or a movie or something. Like there's like a memory cinematic connection between that riff. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you anything come to mind?
Well, not in my mind,
Okay.
but I'm sure it's been
Yeah,
in
yeah.
movies and
Probably,
shows. Yeah.
yeah. Now, outside of this one, how Nine Inch Nails savvy are you?
A bit. Again, I love this album, and I also love a lot of their other work. Yeah, I just have a lot of appreciation for this band. I think
Sure.
it's just really cool, the stuff they do. Me and my mom, we did travel to Colorado to see them at Red Rocks.
Nice.
Like last year.
Oh,
so,
cool.
Another concert memory
Yeah.
for sure related to this band. And that was my first time seeing Nine Inch Nails as well. But yeah, I just love like how heavy they are, but also how they incorporate a lot of electronic elements into their music as well, and still keep it very heavy. Yeah, I just feel like it's a very heavy weighted album.
For sure. So this was third of 14 for them, and 13 and 14 were just out a handful of years ago. Have you checked out some of their newer stuff too, or?
Yeah, a little bit. There was like a series of like 3 EPs that they released that I listened to some of the songs in those EPs. But yeah, I obviously like, their older stuff, Pretty Hate Machine and The Fragile and everything like that, the classics.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. So we had a relatively small leap from 89 to 94, but moving forward with a bigger one, all the way to 2021, Glow On
Yes.
by Turnstile. Third of 3, 15 tracks, 34 minutes from Cleveland to Baltimore.
Yes.
Who are these guys and what's your discovery there?
Yeah, so Turnstile, they're a hardcore band from Baltimore. I discovered them because they played the Granada
Oh,
back
cool.
in 2021.
Also a good, fun
Yes.
place to see a show, right?
Yeah, and this is when I was starting to get into hardcore music. So prior to this, I was getting into Knocked Loose was the other big one, which we will talk about as well. But yeah, I just started seeing their name come up like online, just in different like music journalism sites and whatever. And when I saw that they were coming to the Granada, I was like, I don't know what this band is, but they're getting a lot of press recently, so I'll just buy a ticket and go and see what happens. And
Solo?
yeah,
Love
so
it.
I go
Love
to a
it.
lot of shows
Oh,
by myself. Yeah,
yes. It's the
but
best.
yeah, but before I went to the show, I listened to this album because this was the album they were touring on, their most recent release, and I just fell in love with it. You know,
Cool.
because it's like it's palatable hardcore, whereas I feel like when you get into like Knocked Loose and stuff like that, and like Trapped Under Ice and all of that jazz, it becomes like quote unquote like too heavy for people, and people, I feel like start going like, oh well, yeah, I don't know what they're saying and I don't know like what's going on, but this is a band that I got my mom into.
Oh, wow.
And she went to one of the shows with me, so
So you've seen them more than once now.
yeah, I've
Okay.
seen them twice.
Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I feel like this is just a great album. I feel like as far as hardcore goes, it's very experimental with, again, the electronic and synth
Sure.
elements they bring into it and the sampling as well. But it's also still a very heavy album that will get a mosh pit going in no time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's it if you let it if you let how do I want to say this? I think it can be difficult to at times discern the feel, the vibe, the essence of from one outfit to the next, because at some point it's like the common denominators are throaty or screamy vocals and power chords and speed.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, not always. And so I think there's extra effort required to stay with that and really dig into what's happening in a track, in an album. What did when you start listening to these guys, shortly before that you started listening to heavy stuff?
Yeah.
What did that pivot look like?
So when I was in high school and kind of going through my emo phase, I just started listening to like just heavier and heavier music. Like I honestly don't know why I like it so much. I just do. It might just be the energy of it,
Sure.
or I don't know, maybe
What was the first artist or album where you went, whoa?
It was probably Bring Me the Horizon was
Okay.
the one. Their song,
You get turned on to them by a friend or?
just the internet,
Okay.
honestly.
Nice.
I just,
The internet's a friend.
yeah, just going online and seeing like, oh, this other band called Bring Me the Horizon, people call an emo band or whatever. Okay, sure, I'll see what they're about, type deal. But their song Shadow Moses was like the first song I feel like I listened to that had like that heavy metal, like screaming vocals in it. And there was just something that clicked within me with that song and was like, whoa, this is cool. 'Cause they also have like orchestral instruments in it and like a choir as well, which I thought was crazy as well, like bringing like in like classical sounding stuff but then mixing it with like metalcore.
Yeah.
So started listening to like Bring Me the Horizon, and then I moved on to like Motionless in White, which is another band I really enjoy. They're more of like a people call them like if like Spirit Halloween was a band. That's
the store
yeah, the store. Pretty much, yeah.
with screaming shit in it for as long as you're in there, just like God.
Yeah, so yeah, because they're very like, kind of have like that look of like, they don't wear like corpse paint, but like they do, like they're very theatrical and do like the makeup and costume changes and stuff like that. So I started listening to Motionless in White, and then I eventually got into Knocked Loose,
Okay.
which is more of the hardcore kind of stuff. And then now I even listen to a little bit of deathcore, and I really like this band, Lorna Shore, which has been
Sounds like a lady's name. Lorna Shore.
Lorna Shore, yeah.
Lorna. Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, Lorna Shore has been making a lot of big moves recently within deathcore and have been opening. Like recently, they opened for Mastodon and Gojira on a tour.
Wow.
And everything like that. So
welcome to the circuit.
Yeah,
those are huge names.
Yeah.
Wow, very cool. So let's see. Knock Loose, Tearing the Fabric of Life. 3 LPs, 4 EPs.
Yes.
This is 4 out of 4 for them in that department. 6 tracks, 21 minutes. The Kentucky
Yes.
on the map, and the hardest core of hardcore. Where did I see that? I saw that somewhere. It made me want to write it down.
I'm sure.
Unless that was just a thought I had.
Either a thought or a review somewhere.
Could be. So with 3 LPs and 4 EPs, this is one of those EPs.
Yes.
And not the hugest digital footprint for it. I mean, it's on streaming and so on and so forth. But was this the first release of theirs that you dove into, or what makes this one special?
I think for me, it's again kind of relating it back to Downward Spiral. It has like that narrative to it. So kind of the narrative it follows, and they released a music video or a short film that has all of these songs in it, but it's like one continuous storyline. But basically the storyline of it is it's a couple who are driving in the woods one night, and they get in a car crash, and it kills one person, but it doesn't kill the other one. And so it's like dives into like, themes of like grief and depression, and being like, if I could have done one thing different, then maybe this person would still be here with me and I wouldn't have to grieve this loss. So kind of deals a lot with that. Another thing that I thought was interesting about this EP was they actually recorded it in a cabin, like in the woods of Tennessee.
Cool.
And I just feel like when I listen to this EP, I can totally get that vibe
Nice.
of like, yes, this is totally something that would be recorded in like an abandoned cabin. I think it was like in like Gatlinburg area is where they recorded it, but I'm like,
sounds kind of Civil War-y. I don't know.
Yeah,
there must have been a battle there or something.
Yeah, kind of, again, that kind of haunted, cabin in the woods type feel. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if they stayed there, or if they just hammered it all out in one sitting, or
I think they lived there for a little bit while recording this. Lived in the cabin.
There's a lot that's romantic about just cabin in the woods in general.
Yeah.
But I would love to have a cabin in the woods, or frequent one, or at least I think I would. I might have a different opinion about that when the sun goes down.
Yeah.
What about you? Are you a go stay in a cabin in the woods kind of person, or?
Not really, not particularly. Like, my only experience with that was I used to be in Girl Scouts, and we did camping once, and it wasn't really for me, I guess.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not that type of person.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot like the weather is, like the thing that you maybe take a peek at before you go do something like that.
Yeah.
But then you get there and you're like, oh, there's bugs, and oh, also no toilet.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have to generate the energy to heat our food ourselves, and
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
My 10-year-old boy is in Scouts right now, and it is like just insanely different compared to when I was in it.
Yeah.
In the fact that we had monthly campouts. I think his pack, and maybe it will change once he's in Boy Scouts, but it's like 2 a year.
Yeah.
But for many years, once a month, and it's like Friday. You basically need to get your stuff together Thursday night before you go to bed.
Yeah.
'Cause you go to school, and then you got to, after school, take off, and it's like set up. Their point being, there was a number of campouts where, and it's get there Friday, set up, have dinner, go to bed, have all day Saturday, and then you break down Sunday and come home.
Yeah.
But like where you get there Friday and it's just pouring.
Yeah.
And then by the time you're breaking down Sunday morning, it's still raining.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so the whole thing becomes about dryness and
Yeah.
like, rotating socks and, hanging things over the fire. I mean,
Yeah.
whew. That's really cool story, though. I did not pick up that all of those thematic elements were happening in this.
Yeah.
But good stuff.
Yeah, I think it's like a musical novella.
Really?
Whereas like Downward Spiral is like a complete novel, and this is like more of like a shorter story, but they kind of evolved to kind of do this kind of narrative stuff, because with their first album, Laugh Tracks, it's like it was more just kind of them writing about whatever they wanted to write about. I felt like it was more of like a personal record connected to the band. But then with their second album, A Different Shade of Blue, they started kind of getting into that narrative kind of storytelling type mindset. And then I feel like this is like completely like conceptual, and they're about to release their third album soon, so we'll see what that album entails.
Cool.
So
very cool. Now this single that this Catfight single,
yeah,
does it have a name yet? Or if it's not kosher to say, then don't.
I want to keep it a surprise for people.
Awesome.
But I will say it is a song that I know a lot of people really enjoy hearing us play live.
Very cool. Very cool. And then not that there has to be two camps, but I often think of the birth and creation of a song to either be like a band typically has a person that, kind of puts the skeleton together and then brings it to the band, and the band fleshes it out, or perhaps more than one person does that. More than one person is bringing, the core of a song, or the band creates it all organically together. Is one of those versions the case for this track that you guys recorded?
So the single that we recorded, it's a song that they wrote before I was in the band.
Okay.
But as far as we have written a couple new songs recently with me in the band, and so far what's happened is me and our bassist Claire, we got together one day for like literally just an hour and just were kind of like, oh, here are some riffs I came up with, and let's see if we can work anything together. So we just kind of jammed for a bit, and
Claire with her bass and you with your guitar each had some riffs of your own.
Yeah.
That you showed one or shared with one another.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. And so then we like just kind of record what we do on our phones, like what we come up with, and then we'll send it to our Catfight group chat to be like, hey, this is what we came up with. And then
I gotta get on this Catfight group chat. Sounds like a happening place.
Just for band members,
no,
unfortunately, but and then when we have a band practice, we'll kind of see what we can flesh out, and Allie will write lyrics, or sometimes Allie comes in with lyrics or just kind of this tune that she has of like how she wants a song to go. And yeah, so we just, just kind of, it's both like we each come up with our own things, but then also kind of really the song doesn't come together until we're all in the room together actually fleshing it out and
Yeah.
playing. So
I guess it goes without saying that there's an element of vulnerability and courage that
yeah.
goes into something like that to be like, I brought this thing. I hope you guys don't think it sucks,
Yeah, definitely.
So, um, do you think with some of the tracks that will be on the album, uh, do you envision that more will come together in that sense that you and Claire had with the riffing, or will you bring a fully formed idea of a song of your own, or is it just going to be a mix of all different stuff?
I think it'll be a mix of all different stuff. Like, I mean, I like just having like a riff or something like that. I don't really like being like, oh, here's this entire song that I wrote, and then taking it to the band and just basically having them perform the
Their
parts.
parts, yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah.
parts I wrote or whatever. And so I just like the collaborative aspect of it, of all just kind of bringing our own little things into it and just kind of mixing it all together. But a lot of the album, though, again, are songs that were written before I was in the band, because they were a
Oh,
band,
right.
for a
My bad.
year, before I joined. But a lot of the guitar parts, I actually kind of ended up rewriting a lot of guitar parts or just making them just a lot more developed within the songs they had already written. And so figuring that out was a lot of fun too, going and again adding stuff in, going off of whatever Claire and Lisa were doing. Lisa's our drummer. So
So you got Allie, Claire, Lisa, Maura.
yes, and that's it.
It's a quartet.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Very cool. Right on. So I like to close with a series of goofy questions and
Okay.
wrap and get you out of here. The first one is if we can imagine or pretend that everybody has some version of a personal and a professional bucket list. Things, goals, things you'd like to accomplish. And you are given all the necessary resources to knock out your number one atop both of those lists. What would those be?
Professional, I want to tour with a band
Cool.
doing concert photography. I want to
Uh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
photograph an entire tour. Oh, sorry.
You're good.
Yeah, so I would love to go on tour with a band photographing.
Okay, go on tour with a band, not the band.
Well, I would also like Catfight to go on tour as well,
Okay.
but there's a lot of things I want. But,
Hey, at least you know that.
yeah.
Now, so to go on tour with a band shooting and to
Yeah.
go on tour with the band performing,
Yeah.
what sort of scope do you envision? Like regional or like across the country or international? Like what are the bounds, if any?
Like I mean with Catfight, I guess realistically right now it would be more regional.
Sure.
If we had an infinite budget, I would want us to go literally everywhere. And then as far as photography goes, yeah, an international tour would be crazy cool to do.
Are you a travel person? Do you like to?
Yeah. Yeah, my family travels a lot
Cool.
and we go a lot of different places, and we've gone to Europe and
Nice.
everything like that. So
Very cool.
yeah, it's very cool.
Okay. So did we get both? One of those was personal, one of those professional. Is that
Yeah.
we're rolling with that? Okay.
Yeah, we'll roll with that.
I like it. You are given the ability to have lunch with anybody of your choosing, dead or alive. Who are you choosing and why?
Man, I have to think about that for a second because there's so many people. I would say Like, I mean, I would just go with right now Kurt Cobain.
Okay.
Just, I don't know. I feel like we would have a lot in common.
Cool.
And just a lot to talk about.
Heck yeah.
So
Very nice.
Yeah.
You're given the ability to visit your past self at any age you're choosing. What age are you choosing, and what are you saying?
So for me, 2 parts. I don't really have a lot of regrets on how things have turned out.
Cool.
And I am the type of person who kind of believes everything happens for a reason, you
Sure.
know, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And, you know, hardships kind of make us who we are.
Yeah.
But if I absolutely had to, it would just kind of be quick and simple. I would just kind of go back to me at 16 and just say, things will work out.
Okay.
You know,
right?
It'll be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been, it's a fascinating, it's a wide mix of answers from folks, and sometimes it's a big whole, very detailed, spiky, twisty, turny thing, and sometimes it's like, you're doing great,
Yeah.
or take it easy,
Yeah.
or one person, the last one I recorded, they were like, I would have gone to 10 years ago me and kicked the shit out of me because I really needed it. I was like, for real? Okay. I love that though. Please complete this for me if you would. The world would immediately become a better place in which to live if only.
We were just nice to each other.
Hey, right?
To be honest, because
Just a
yeah,
little bit.
or just I guess respected each other. I guess
Sure.
just respected the fact that we're all just here right now, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like recently, and like, I mean, God, I love the Lawrence music scene so much, but I feel like there have been some instances recently where people are just creating like this unnecessary drama.
Oh, fun.
I don't know, for whatever reason, just to cause drama, I guess. And I'm just kind of the type of person where I'm just like, I just want to, you know, make songs with the band, get them recorded, go on stage and perform, and like that's it. I don't need to, I don't know, be controversial or
Right.
anything like that. And so I don't know, I just feel like, if we all just kind of were nicer to each other and just, just kind of respect that other people are going to go and do what they're going to do. We're going to go and do what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Obviously within reason. Like if you're actually like doing, some shady stuff or whatever, then, that needs to be addressed. But,
I love that. Unfortunately, I mean, it's not hard to be nice, but it is easy in a lazy sense to be a dick or to be dramatic or rude or exclusive. I mean, long list. But the effort required to be nice is pretty, minuscule.
Yeah.
And this notion of you never really know what somebody's dealing with or going through. So, a little bit of niceness can go a long way.
Yeah.
So I really love that. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Last but not least, you ready?
Yeah.
True or false? It is okay and acceptable to wear the t-shirt of the band whose show you're going to.
I think it is acceptable.
Okay.
True, because I'm 100% that person.
You are?
Yeah.
Like, and I don't mean purchased at the venue and you just put it on. I mean, like, you conscious decision. I'm going to Pussifer tonight, and so I'm rocking my Pussifer shirt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I mean, and like, I know my dad will say stuff like, well, everybody else like already knows where they're at, and what band they're seeing. You don't need to remind them. But like,
all right. So if I can't be a part of the catfight group chat, I gotta have a coffee with your dad because he sounds rad.
Yeah.
One of those two.
Invite him on the podcast.
Yeah, I might.
But Yeah, like I think it's fine. Like
Yeah.
you're going to see the band and you're excited about it and you want to wear the shirt.
Yeah.
Like,
Here's what I say. Uh, I already know that you dig them because we're here together to see this. But this is your opportunity. If you're a T-shirt kind of person, this is your opportunity to rep something else. Be a billboard of sorts. So
okay.
show me something else you might be into, like
Yeah.
a band that's not playing here. And
Yeah.
I might, if it's a cool shirt, I probably won't remember. But
Yeah.
anyway, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I think it's all right and I do it all the time.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Okay. So please jump in, correct me, or add to Twisted MJD on Twitter. Okay.
Yes.
And then Twisted Mora photos,
Yeah, photos plural.
plural, on Instagram.
Instagram, yes.
And in the Twisted Mora photos is where the link tree is
Yes.
on Instagram, and you can check out all of your pitch pieces that
Yes.
you've shot for, right?
Yes.
You're not penning any of these. It's
I actually have started writing reviews, so that started about like 6 months ago.
6 months. Okay,
So now I do write the reviews with
Okay.
my photos.
very cool.
Because a lot of them are local shows and DIY shows, and obviously I'm the only person from the pitch at those shows, so I've had to start writing, which is scary because I have literally zero journalism experience, but I'm glad that the pitch still trusts me enough to write a good review
Yeah,
for it. So,
cool. So photos and reviews
yes.
can be found on your pitch page. And then catfight underscore LFK is the
Yes.
band's handle on Instagram.
Yes.
What am I leaving out?
That pretty much covers it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything that you hoped that we would cover that we did not?
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I very much appreciate it. I'm going to immerse myself in a cloud of optimism
Okay.
that this is not all for naught.
Okay.
I'm going to do my best to not let it ruin the rest of my day. And I'm very, very sorry for technical
No, it's all
difficulties. Worst case scenario, it was a lovely conversation
Yeah.
from my end. But I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you soon.
Good. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks.